By the time we reach paragraph 17 of Meditation 4, we find that Descartes is confident now that he has created this connection between his ideas of sensation, his sensory experiences, and his judgments about their causes. His connection there is the existence of a deity who is the guarantor of at least some of his judgments. Now, in order to maintain a consistency with the existence of the deity and the fact that he makes errors in judgment, he has to introduce a mechanism whereby errors are brought about without the deity having any causal footprint in that process. And to do that, he locates the source of error in his own will, in his unrestrained use of his faculty of judgment, so that it goes beyond its finite ability, and in thereby doing leads him into error. And he also thinks that he hasn't just given an explanation for error and connected his ideas of sensation to external objects. He's actually got a little bit of a methodological principle out of it. He tells us in paragraph 17, "Nor have I merely learned today what I must avoid to escape error, but also what I must do to arrive at knowledge of the truth. For I will surely attain truth if I attend only to the things that I understand perfectly, distinguishing them from those that I grasp more obscurely and confusedly." So now he has this methodological principle about how to go about evaluating the epistemic merit of his judgments regarding the ideas of sensation. So how far does Descartes get now? What is he going to do? Well, he's got an epistemic foundation now. He's got a whole set of foundational beliefs upon which he can build his knowledge edifice. And he's got a methodology. He's got his positive principle of justification, and he's got his insight into how to go about using his will, disciplining his will in the use of his judgment, so that he adheres to his positive principle in a way that renders his judgments epistemically meritorious and allows him to distinguish and withhold assent from those judgments that fail to be epistemically meritorious. The question, however, is how much can he rebuild of what he formerly thought he knew in accordance with these foundations and this methodology? And so this is what we want to turn our attention to as we close out our discussion of the meditations. So with regard to mental substance, the mind, Descartes says that he can know its essential nature. The essential nature of the mind is a non-spatial thinking substance. It has no dimensions, it has no position, has no shape. It is a substance that exists in time and is a unity. That is, there are no component parts to it. And he thinks he knows all of these things about mental substance. What about the physical world? He thinks he has some general insights into the nature of the external world. He thinks that the essential nature of the body or physical things is an extended, unthinking substance that exists in time and has all the properties of mathematics, that is, of geometry and number. So physical objects have magnitude, shape, position, motion. They are unthinking and extended essentially. And so he's introduced a sort of oppositional dualism. There are two kinds of stuff in the world. There's the mental stuff that is essentially thinking, non-spatial, and unity. There is the physical stuff which is essentially extended and unthinking. It has the properties of shape and number. And this is really as far as Descartes will get. And so, not just in the fourth meditation, but all the way into the sixth meditation, we see that this is the limit of his reconstructed knowledge edifice within the context of the meditations. So he's rebuilt his knowledge edifice. He's gone fairly significantly far along his path towards rebuilding his knowledge edifice. However, he hasn't gotten back to this enormous and elaborate knowledge edifice that he had prior to his reflection at the beginning of the meditations. So even in meditation 6, we find that he's honest and frank about the fact that he hasn't reconstructed the sort of rich and elaborate knowledge edifice that he started off with. He thinks that he has a knowledge of the general properties of material objects. That is, he knows what sort of properties material objects can have. Right? So he can grasp that clearly and distinctly. He knows that material objects can have size and shape and things of this nature. But, he says in paragraph 11, what about the particular properties of particular objects, say, such as the size and shape of the sun? These are open to doubt. So he thinks that he can know the general properties of material objects. But can he know that a particular material object, in fact, definitely exists, that it has a particular shape or a particular size? This, he thinks, is not the case at this point. However, he says, but since God is no deceiver, and since I therefore have the God-given ability to correct any falsity that may be in my beliefs, I have high hopes of finding the truth about these things. So, even by meditation 6, even by the end of this work, Descartes' reconstruction of his knowledge edifice in accordance with his positive principle of justification and his methodology about adhering to clear and distinct judgments, that hasn't resulted in his developing anything like his original knowledge edifice. This knowledge edifice is very small and very simple in comparison.